good evening, and welcome to a special edition of Fresh Natural Live. Many of you who are accustomed to following us on Monday evening and me being with my usual group may be a little bit surprised that we're coming on live. We've been in syndication for a while. However, I received a text this morning regarding the untimely and unfortunate, I should say tragic death of Franco Harris. I've been a lifelong football fan, and I remember Franco Harris being one of the star players of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I remember as a young man following his career, and it was quite startling. And the fact that he died suddenly was also quite startling. So I thought I'd contact some friends of mine who are retired NFL players who knew him personally, and I thought we'd bring him on and we'd have a conversation, not only about his tragic and untimely death, but the implications of that. So I think we're going to have an inspiring, perhaps tear-dropping and informative show for you tonight. So hang tight. We're going to get started right now. Okay, welcome back. And as I said at the outset, this is a quick news clip on Franco Harris. He ended his career as a Seattle Seahawk, but as a long-standing halfback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He passed, unfortunately, at the age of 72. It's reported that he died in his sleep. And we're going to be talking about the life and legend of Franco Harris. Before I bring my guest on, I'm going to introduce each and every one of them. Here with me tonight is Mr. Raymond Waddy, is a former retired NFL player. He played cornerback rather, with the Washington Redskins and now the Washington Commanders. He also played with Canadian Football League's BC Lions and United States Football League San Antonio Gunslingers. He played college football and ran track at Texas A&I University, now the Texas A&M Kingsville. He is currently a recently retired teacher at the Bradsport Independent School District and is a lifelong member of the Mega Psi Phi. Also joining us is Mr. Charlie Davis. Mr. Charlie Davis played with Franco Harris his rookie season with the Steelers, and they combined to win a Super Bowl together. He's a former professional American defensive tackle. He played his college ball at Texas Christian University and was drafted in the 9th round in 1974. And he's got a lot of stories to share with us about Franco Harris. And also with us this evening is Darrell Ray Green. He's an American former football player. He played defensive corner with the Washington Redskins, again, now the Commanders. Darrell's a Hall of Fame player. He's a self-proclaimed itty-bitty guy. I've been around him, and I don't remember him telling me about him being an itty-bitty guy, but he's an ageless wonder, played over 20 years in the NFL, was the fastest man in NFL history. And I think that record still stands today. At least nobody has challenged him to this point. But I want to thank each and every one of you guys, and let me bring you on. Welcome, Charles Big Mac Davis. I need to know where that Big Mac come from.
Kind of creative, isn't it?
It's very creative. I don't know. There may be some branding issues behind that one, but anyway. And then welcome Darrell Green, Wayne Waddy, and Charles Davis. Welcome to the show, guys. And
yes, sir.
I want to just start off with my comments because I'm I say a lifelong football fan. I was a real big fan of football when I was young, and some of my time as I've gotten older with more responsibilities, I don't have time to look at many games. I imagine you guys probably don't have time to look at many games, but nevertheless, for me, it was a great time back in the days of the '70s and the '80s. I was in middle school and high school, watching football, and I played a little football in middle school and high school. So I had some understanding of the game, but I saw a lot of those teams. I was an Oilers fan, but once the Oilers were knocked out, I became a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So because I always wanted you guys to beat Dallas. I never wanted Dallas to win anything. So that was my take on it. But I do remember the Immaculate Catch. And I understand they were going to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of that, which is, kind of unfortunate in a way that he had this untimely death. But let me just go around the table and just get your take on Franco Harris, which you recall. Big Mac, we'll start with you. You played your rookie season. What was your recollection of Franco as a person, a football player, etc.?
Well, good evening, everybody. Franco Harris was, first of all, he's a good friend. I met him, actually played against Penn State when I was in college. And the first time I heard anything about him was a scouting report. And our coaches said, he played in the backfield with Lydell Mitchell. And our coaches said, we need to worry about this halfback. He's really good. The fullback, which happens to be Franco Harris, is big and lazy. You don't have to worry about him. All right, we go up there and get beat 66-14.
Oh, my goodness.
First time Franco got the ball, head to the sideline, I tackled him. He bounces up and reaches his hand to help me up. And I'm like, get out of here. Then when I stood up, he was taller than I was. I'm like, oh, my goodness, it's going to be a long day. But he was such a super person. I mean, from there, we ended up being teammates. I was drafted by the Steelers. He was there before I was. And we got to be really close friends to the point that he would tease me every week. He'd have a newspaper pregame meal going, let's see who played TCU this week. And TCU was going through some really lean times back in the early 70s. And it was so bad. He would just have so much fun with that. And I just grew to love the guy. He was just unbelievable. We had a bunch of nice guys on that team. He and Swan and Starworth, just 14 rookies on our first Super Bowl team.
Wow.
For the 74, 75 Super Bowl, 74 season, 75 Super Bowl. And Franco was such a big part of it. If Franco's not running, we're not winning. Yeah, it made it a lot easier for him to run once we got Stallworth and Lynn Swan catching. But he's really a super person. I see him after each Super Bowl now. They've had a golf tournaments and all. And, he'd invite you to the dinners. Everything's free, just super guy. I mean, it's just one of a kind. It makes me really just kind of choke up a little bit just thinking about, what a guy he was. And it's a big hole there now.
Yeah, it's amazing how 1 minute he's there, and the next minute he's gone. I want to, before I go to the next person, I want to invite Mr. Art Monk in. Is a retired wide receiver for the Washington Redskins and New York Jets and Philadelphia Eagles, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I remember watching Art Monk as a young guy, catching all those passes. It's just amazing. So welcome to the show, sir. Sure. It's a pleasure to meet you, albeit digitally.
Sure, glad to be on with
you. Yeah, and so we're just gotten started reflecting on everyone's recollection on Franco Harris. What Ray Water, you played with the Redskins. Do you have any Franco Harris stories or recollections?
Yeah, first of all, good to see you, Art.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, is that you?
Yeah.
My gosh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of ironically, my My stepson and I was talking about Franco yesterday, the day before actually, about the catch and everything else. And he asked me, he said, "Did you ever play against him?" I said, "Yes, I did." And of course, we go up to Pittsburgh, and as a rookie in 1979, you can't be focused on who's over there, but you got to know who's over there. And I've always had a lot of respect for him as a player. I actually got a chance to tackle him. That's one of my little claims to glory. But, they beat us like a stepchild. Go up to Pittsburgh and play, but just all the things that I've seen about him on TV about his career and watch his career, it speaks for itself. But hearing people talk about him, the person that he was, I wish I had a chance to know that side of Franco.
Wow.
Just to know the guy that made such an impact in the communities and in the league. It saddens my heart that he's gone.
Yeah, very touching. Art, what are your recollections? Again, imagine you probably never had a chance to tackle him, but they're both offensive players. But did the Redskins compete? I guess the Redskins did compete against the Steelers at some point with you and Franco playing, right?
I remember scrimmaging. We had scrimmages against them. It was, I believe, somewhat early in my career. I never really got to know him. I think I may have met him once or twice, just sort of in passing. And just very impressed with him. Obviously, he was a great guy. Everyone always spoke highly of him. But even with that, you always, I never really go by other people's impressions of other people. I like to come up with my own.
I understand.
Although people spoke highly of him, my impression of him was when I met him was, yeah, he's a class A guy. And everything that everybody spoke about him was, was true. So, but I never really got to kind of get to really know him and other than that, just meeting him for a couple of times.
Gotcha. Well, Mr. Itty Bitty, Darryl Green, what are your recollections of Franco Harris? Did y'all compete during your time? I imagine so. And
No, I'm like 25 years younger than these guys.
okay.
Art and these guys. So no.
Watch out there.
Well, so I've known Franco on a personal level. Didn't play against him, but I mean, he'd come to DC. We had mutual friends, be at different places. Of course, we got in the Hall of Fame. Got to know him even more so. Sometimes when people pass away, you don't really, everybody want to say something nice, but this is the kind of guy you're going to probably hear throughout the rest of the week, where it's just nobody's going to say anything bad because he was that kind of, he's a different dude. Like, you're iconic, but it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's going to say that, man, this dude was personable. He was real. He was bigger than life, but he was right down there on the ground level where you are. That's just the truth about him. It's not always the truth about everybody that go to their grave, but with him, he just was that kind of dude. Just because, like I said, I've known him, for a long time. Just coming into DC, he would come here. He had friends here, business here, and being in different places. And of course, like I said, in the Hall of Fame. But man, that hit me. Doc, matter of fact, you're the one that woke me up with the note. I was like, what? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was pretty powerful to get that. And then of course you're trying to confirm it. Like you hope it's not true, man. I hope this is, because as a matter of fact, somebody said that today. It's the same thing happened with Terry Bradshaw. They had said he had passed away and it wasn't true. So, you kind of, that was brought out today too, listening to everybody.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Franco, just good people, man. Just good people. I hope I'm like him, because you don't think of him as a football player, and I never wanted to be thought of as a football player. He's just a dude, man. It's a good guy, good man. And yeah. And of course, growing up here in Houston, Texas, Charles, we didn't like the Steelers. Bum Phillips said we knocked on the door, we kicked on the door. Next year we're gonna knock the blankety blank, and then y'all beat us again.
Yeah, and we sent some briefcases and added shades to tell you thank you.
But I will say this about the Houston fans, and of course I've been in DC for 40 years right about now, but they all met Bum Phillips and the team out there at Intercontinental.
Yep.
Thousands of people
Yep.
were going out there to meet the team, and they got pitched. But I will say one last thing, and I've said this to Franco before. In my humble opinion, I believe if they would have got him in the dome, it would have been history. Would have been changed, Charlie. History would have been changed. Because Big Earl was gonna bring that thing, baby. Big Earl was gonna bring that thing on y'all, but on that cold, frozen tundra.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I played at Mile High, Three Rivers. That sucker was jacked up. And I guarantee you, it was cement. It felt like cement. And I bet you in that cold weather, Big Earl coming out of that practice field or in this warm Houston, it just wasn't happening, man. It wasn't happening. Them boys were ready. And if you coming from that warm weather to that cold weather, if they would have ever got him home, history would have changed it. And Franco, well, it wasn't the Oilers anyway when Franco made the immaculate reception. So now it's great. I'm sorry we're talking about him on this regard, but when you talk about Pittsburgh and Franco, it's a happy remembrance across the country. I don't care who you are. So thanks for having us on to talk about that. And
it's an honor for me for you guys to come on, and thank you for coming on with such short notice. It's interesting, and I think I had this conversation with you, Daryl, not long ago. But to make it to the NFL and play one snap, you're like one in a million athletes. I just remember. I'm part of that whole denominator. Maybe more than several million athletes across the country who put on the pads in little league or middle school or high school, and we work our way up. And of course, a lot of guys have that aspiration, but you guys each are like one in a million just to make it to a team and take one snap, not let alone play a whole year or play multiple years or be a Hall of Famer, but just to make one snap. So I imagine it's a very small league. It's a very small fraternity. Do y'all connect with each other? It seems like each of you have some personal say about Franco Harris, even though you didn't necessarily play with him. But how do you feel? You hear about these. For me, it's like, okay, another superstar's gone down. But does it feel like the loss of a family member?
Exactly.
The NFL. What is what goes to your mind when you hear of another fallen star?
Well, the relationships are very, you could be from high school, it could be from college, it can be from that team and that team and that team. It can be from the Pro Bowl. It can be from the Hall of Fame. So the connections are through your boy. Your boy is your best boy, but he played with him at Miami. So it's just the connections are endless. As you're saying, the connections are endless. And it is family, because everybody understands there's something that we know that other people don't know, as it relates to how you get there, how did you get there, what is expected of you, and how do you stay there. So I think you're right. You're tapping on the right thing, that there is this connectivity. Like, what's crazy, Ray Whitey was the roommate of one of my good friends at the Redskins, and yet he was the guy that I played behind in college. It just, it's like the connections are all over the place. Art Monk and that same guy were best fishing buddies when Ray left. They were best buddies.
Oh, wow.
So and Art is from New York. I'm from Houston. That guy is from Arkansas, and Ray and I from Texas as well. So yeah, the connections, man, are all over the place, in terms of how you become family. But it is family. There is a camaraderie there. There is a fraternity there.
Wow.
I have to echo what Daryl said. It's the relationships. Daryl's relationship and mine go back a long time. Art was our first draft pick my second year, and I used to look forward to going out and working with him.
That was easy work.
Pick
it up.
Just
you can't hear.
We got to know each other.
Turn your mic on.
Turn your mic on, Art.
He's talking about he can't hear. He can't hear. He hear you.
Can you hear?
Yeah, he hear you. He hear you good.
Okay. And so Art and I got to know each other, and spend some time together and then play together. And unfortunately, I get injured midway through the second season and miss the remaining 9 games of my second year, and get hurt in practice as I was rehabbing, covering Art.
Oh gosh,
man, Art probably pushed you in your back or something, man. I covered Art a lot of years, man. He probably put that elbow on you, tried to put that elbow on you or something. It's probably something illegal.
My point is that just having an opportunity to get to know Art. And I asked Daryl about Art a little while back, and I said, man, I need to talk to this guy because I have not talked to him in years. And so Art, man, my heart rejoices. And Doc, those relationships, Daryl's talking about Monty Coleman. Monty Coleman and I lived in an apartment together.
Oh, wow.
We got stories to tell that'll make us laugh all night long, some of the things that we did. And so a piece of you leaves when somebody you're connected to leaves us.
Wow. Wow.
Somebody said that today, and I've been following a lot of the news. Somebody said today, when these iconic players go, and you were, 13, 14, 12, 11, and it's like they were when you were a child. It's like when they die, they're taking a part of your history.
Yep.
Because that's when you was a little boy, and
That's right.
that was your hero. And somebody said that, I heard. I've been listening to so much stuff today, but that's yeah. I remember, the people that I watched, and interestingly enough, and I talked to Joe Green, talked to his wife today. She was on travel, and so really couldn't connect with Joe but shoot, man, I'm great friends with Joe and Charlotte, but I watched Joe drink that Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
I watched Joe drink that Coke that had to be burning his throat because you could not drink that Coke. I got to ask him about that, but man, we watched that. Some of those things we got to see, and then some things that someone a little bit older than me got to see that I didn't see. And so when they do go on, it is sort of a part of you going on with them as well. All right, you good yet? Can you hear? He can't hear.
I think he needs to unmute.
Oh.
All right.
Doc, you lock him out?
No, he's unmuted. He may need to check his.
Yeah, he's talking to his wife to try to help him. He don't know what he's doing. His wife will help him.
Yeah, just have him adjust the microphone. He may need to retoggle.
Yeah.
Big Mac, what's your feeling on this? The takeaway.
Well, one of the things, just listen to everybody speak. you try to come up with that common denominator that we're all feeling, and it's a sense of respect. I don't generally hear athletes criticizing other athletes at this level. If you got into the pro level, you're a pro all the way around. You don't make excuses. I mean, you do your job. You help people. You help kids. You do what you do in the community. It's like a ministry in a way, and you into giving back. And so for a team, I was very fortunate, I think, to be able to be drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers and go to their first Super Bowl 6 months out of college. I'm in the Super Bowl when my college team couldn't even vote me as a captain. You know, I mean, it was one of those things. And I was All-American, but it's still, there were some things going on that I had no control of. But to get on a team like Pittsburgh and actually learn from guys like Mean Joe Green or Ernie Holmes or Dwight White or L.C. Greenwood, or just any one of those guys, they're such high caliber guys. And then have a Franco Harris and Bradshaw and other guys on the other side where we were each other's fan. We didn't go just sit down on the bench and wait till we go back on the field to play our series. We would actually become fans of the offense, or the offense would be fans of the defense. And I always said, and I'm because I never played really on a team better than the Steelers, that it was a high caliber, high character, all pro individually. Most guys were the best. You could do coaching films from any one of their positions. They were really into doing it the right way. They had great coaches. And it was a part of my life that I felt that I was in the right place at the right time. And it was good enough to carry me for another 5-8 years on another team, where I was outstanding on another team, which was the Cardinals, and then eventually come to the Oilers to replace Curly Culp. So I can't say enough about guys like Franco Harris and the impact that it's had on my life, even from college when I played against him in college. He's been there, and I'm going to miss him.
Wow. In the NFL, again, as a fan looking from afar, and I was a young kid in those days, and I had some idea of what the sport's like, playing Little League, and so you get, twisted ankle and a little bump or bruise here or there. But I mean, you guys seemingly, and I'm saying seemingly because, just looking at it, hearing about it, playing at a higher level, you guys had to endure a greater amount of pain, a greater amount of, you have to tolerate a great amount of pain and other things, adversity on a physical standpoint.
Well, there's a lot of mental toughness involved in the pro game. We train real hard to do what we do. We don't find high school and college teams back then doing the flexibility thing to get the longer, stronger muscles, or a strength program like we would have at a pro team, where we were really lethal, if you want to call it that. You have Daryl Green coming at you about 25 miles an hour and spearing your ass, you're over with. You're done. And so you have to understand the physics of that impact.
Yeah.
Just the impact itself. I remember playing a Monday night game, and it was the only play that I can remember playing against the Cowboys. One, I didn't particularly like the Cowboys. And two, they had a little running back that ran his mouth all the time, throwing drinks on the waitresses in the summer and off season. And I knew him from Pitt. And
so
I started talking to him when he drafted him. He told me I'd never touch him. I said, man, you're going to have to come to me. And when you do, I'm going to put your lights out.
Uh-oh.
And that moment happened on a Monday night game, and just halfway through the tackle, I like consciously thought what I was doing, because I was taking him down like WWE.
Wow.
And I pulled off of him. It still knocked him out, and he was out for a couple minutes. And I swore I would never do that.
Wow.
You know, I want to play within myself and not just be reckless abandon out there. So that's another reason we don't get hurt. We don't lose our head out there.
Wow.
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 What a recollection.
Well, I'm glad I was on defense. Now let me change that. I'm glad I was on defense.
Well,
Yeah.
I understood that at some point in my career, I was bench pressing over 500 pounds, and I was squatting over 730, and I ran a 4.75 40. Okay, so I knew if I hit somebody with any kind of malice, it's a problem.
Wow.
Now we know why you call Big Mac.
So,
Well, I weigh about 275, 280 right
I'm
now.
just surprised. I'm just surprised that you and Art and Ray run the same, and Doc run the same 40-yard dash.
The same part, huh?
Hey, that's a compliment to me. So I right with this head thing in mind.
I knew you was gonna come back and say that. I didn't mean to give you that love like that, but I threw you in there at the last minute anyway.